Back in the United States, on the banks of the same Rio Grande River, standing nearly 500 kilometers apart, President Joe Biden and GOP presidential frontrunner Donald Trump took digs at one another over America's broken immigration system. Both the president and Donald Trump surveyed the U.S.-Mexico border as immigration and border security emerge as central issues in the 2024 presidential campaign. Both leaders arrived in Texas within a half hour of one another, and they were both briefed on operations and issues. They also walked along the Rio Grande and spoke to various people. President Joe Biden visited Bronzeville, which for 9 years was the busiest corridor for illegal crossings. President Biden also asked Donald Trump to stop playing politics and challenged him to back the bipartisan border security bill, which is actually languishing in Congress right now.
Here's what I would say to Mr. Trump. Instead of playing politics with this issue, instead of telling members of Congress to block this legislation, join me, or I'll join you in telling the Congress to pass this bipartisan border security bill. We can do it together. You know and I know it's the toughest, most efficient, most effective border security bill this country has ever seen. So instead of playing politics with the issue, why don't we just get together and get it done? Let's remember who the heck we work for. We work for the American people, not the Democratic Party, the Republican Party. We work for the American people.
Now, speaking at a press conference, President Biden said the Border Patrol agents are in desperate need of more resources.
Real simple. It's time to act. It's long past time to act. I just received a briefing from the Border Patrol at the border, as well as immigration and enforcement, asylum officers, and they're all doing incredible work under really tough conditions. Really tough conditions. They told me what you already know and we already know. They desperately need more resources. Say it again, they desperately need more resources. Need more agents, more officers, more judges, more equipment in order to secure our border. Folks, it's time for us to move on this.
Meanwhile, Donald Trump, who visited Eagle Pass, which is currently seeing the largest number of migrant crosses, simply blamed Joe Biden. In fact, Trump went on the record a number of times calling the border crossings a Joe Biden invasion. He also painted a very dark picture of Americans kidnapped, raped, and savagely murdered by migrants.
This is a Joe Biden invasion. This is a Biden invasion over the past 3 years. I call him Crooked Joe because he's crooked. He's a terrible president, the worst president our country's ever had, probably the most incompetent president we've ever had. But it's allowing thousands and thousands of people to come in from China, Iran, Yemen, the Congo, Syria, and a lot of other nations. Many nations are not very friendly to us. He's transported the entire columns of fighting-aged men, and they're all at a certain age, and you look at them and say, they look like warriors to me. Something's going on that's bad. Crooked Joe is the blood of countless innocent victims. It's so many stories to tell, so many horrible stories.
While in Texas, Donald Trump met with Republican Governor Greg Abbott and Texas National Guard, who have commandeered a local park and put razor wire fencing at the river's edge to keep migrants from crossing. This in direct violation of an actual court order. In fact, the park has become a Republican symbol of defiance against the federal government.
The safest border in the history of our country, and now outside of this area where Texas has done an amazing job, and in a pretty short period of time, they're going to have it all covered. They have just been incredible. The operation that they showed me is nothing less than incredible. And I'll say this, it's a military operation. I mean, we have this is like a war.
Now, for years, anti-immigration has been central to Donald Trump's political identity. This time, however, he has pledged the biggest ever U.S. deportation program if, in fact, he returns to the White House. Stepping up his rhetoric, he even accused migrants of poisoning the blood of the United States. President Biden's campaign described Trump's comments as unhinged. But according to polls, immigration and border issues are, in fact, Joe Biden's weakest area for a second term. In fact, the latest poll by NBC shows Trump leading Joe Biden by as many as 30 points on the issue of immigration. More than 2.4 million migrants have crossed the U.S. southern border in 2023 alone. They were largely from Central America and Venezuela, fleeing poverty, violence, and climate change disasters.
From impeachments to inaugurations, if it's a political story, we are on the scene. The race for the White House is heating up.
We're beating Biden.
How dare he say that?
If it's breaking news, we're live with the latest coverage. From the White House, the State Department, and Capitol Hill, we know the issues, but above all, we know the players to bring you the latest in-depth analysis on all the key stories that we're covering. I'm Eric Ham. Join me from Washington here on First Post America.